What is up, Buckeye Nation? Scarlet and Great here. We're doing doubles today.
Let's
I'm
go.
excited. Oh, yeah. I got my buddy, my good friend, Sugar Ray Shane Larson, the Boise Buckeye, the game time guru, coming off of that Purdue game. We're going to be talking about that today. First, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, helps us grow, bringing you free Buckeye content nonstop all week, every week. And we're in the thick of it, folks. The season's half over, and we got a big one coming up. But first, we're going to talk about what we saw against Purdue at Ross-Ade Stadium. Shane, how you doing, my brother?
I'm I'm fantastic, Corey, and I'm excited that we finally get back together doing this, doing a show together. We've been talking about it. Finally got the schedules to coordinate, and here we are, man. I'm stoked to be here with you, man.
Me too, man. Me too. When we said or set it up earlier today, I was like, "Oh, sweet, this is going to be good." I love talking ball. My good friends here. Shane, Purdue. Give me your just quick first impressions.
Well, one we covered, and I got another buddy of mine who was putting money down on the first half over under, and I'll tell you what, we should have covered the first half too, the over under, but we did cover with the point spread. Should have gotten the over on the score. There was 27.5.
Oh, that's right.
And
We were
missed
just
extra
under.
point.
Yeah.
Missed extra point and a fumble at the goal line. Definitely should have hit the over. Anyway, overall, you know what? I felt like we did a pretty dang good job, man. Is there some stuff that we can clean up? Yeah, sure. We'll talk about that in a second, but I think we did a pretty good job. I like what I'm seeing out of Ohio State.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's not a flawless game by any means, but a solid game. I give it a B plus.
Mhm.
We were never like, oh no, this game's going to be ugly. I'll admit I was wrong. I predicted it to be a struggle, only because I thought Purdue did some things well that we kind of struggled against. But honestly, kind of just dominated from start to finish. I'm good with it. I'm glad to be wrong. I love being wrong on those kinds of situations. So hey, Buckeyes win. They win big. They look good. We're not going to move on just yet. We won't talk about the game, but hey, starting with going into the game, man, we had that Maryland game where the run game was just awful. It was
Mhm.
terrible, and we were all wondering what's going to happen. What's going to happen? What's the key here? All of a sudden, we go into this game. Trevian's not back. Mayan Williams is hurt, and then in the game, Chip Trayanum gets a concussion. And I remember I was joking in the group chat, thinking Dallan Hayden's got to be putting his hand up right now. Come on, guys, let me play, and he did. Dallan Hayden to the rescue. Boy, did he look good, Shane. What do you think?
Man, just last week I did a video based on the news that broke from Ryan Day's press conference talking about him potentially redshirting this season, which at the time, isn't it funny how things change quickly? But at the time, I thought that was a great idea. I honestly thought it was best for him and best for the program because I'm a big Dallan Hayden fan. I was able to interview him here on the channel last year, a year and a half ago, right
Good
before he
kid.
came over
Very
to
good
the
kid.
Buckeyes. I'm a big fan of his. So I was hopeful like that would be a great situation for him to be able to save a year of eligibility and then come back in as probably the number one option next year. That being said, we're made of glass in the running back room apparently
We are,
again,
man.
and
Every
he
year
came
now.
to the rescue, dude. But Corey, talk to me about this, right? It's not just it's interesting the difference between like the field vision, right? I'm trying to
Mm.
figure out like what is so different about Dallan Hayden compared to the because he did pretty well last year every single time he got in. His field vision, his hands, his running ability, he's like the perfect back for our system. Like the where we have weaknesses, he still is able to make something out of those weaknesses for the most part. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, he can hit the holes, he has good field vision, and he can get some yards after contact. Like I mean, I feel like he fits our system so well. Like, what are we not getting? Like, why is he not already in the rotation at the top of the spot? Is it just because of seniority?
Got to ask Tony Alford that one. I guess he. I mean, obviously he's got to trust Down. I mean, Down hasn't given a reason not to trust him. Maybe he's not as great pass pro. Is what I understand his big weaknesses. But again, if you're going to have a guy that can get you that 4 to 5 yards consistently, you got to go with him, right? I mean, for whatever reason, he just puts his foot in the ground, he sees the lane, and he goes. And if he makes the wrong decision, he just commits to it and he just goes. It seems like sometimes our running backs are indecisive to a fault, just to the point where, there's a couple areas I can go here, and then they just kind of get wrestled down. I think Henderson's gotten better this year about it, but I wouldn't say he's on Hayden's level, but he's gotten better. Henderson's a guy you have on the field because he can just break one, and you know he can, and he can break the game wide open. I don't see Hayden as like a game breaker, but he's that chug, that engine. He just gets you 5 yards, gets you ahead of schedule every time. And I I was with you. I was like, okay, look, Mayan and Chip are more than capable, and I still believe that. But I'm at a point now where I'm like, okay, Hayden's this good. I mean, granted, it's Purdue, so take it with a, he still has shown in the past where he could be good, but it's also, well, are we running well because of Purdue, or are we running well because, Hayden's that good? But at this point, I'm okay with him being RB2 for Penn State. And and
Mhm.
and I don't mean like RB2 that never plays. I mean Henderson and Hayden both get like a 60-40 at most split. Would you be would you be good with him being the RB2 for going to Penn State, or do you want me to just make him the starter?
I wouldn't mind him being the RB2, assuming that whoever is playing in front of him is healthy. Like, I don't even know at this point.
Fair
Everyone doesn't
point.
disclose anything. However, I want to point something out, Corey, that like doesn't get stated enough. The guy's got big game experience. He played against Georgia, like, and he did fine. Like, I mean, a freshman coming in there and having to be one of the main
And he's
dudes. I mean,
bigger now.
yeah, he's got a year in the weight room, year in the system. He's not scared of the moment. That's been obvious. And honestly, it's hard to game plan for him. So I wouldn't mind if he got the bulk of the carries. I'm fine either way, but I want him in the rotation. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say. I just want him in the
No more
rotation.
red shirting. No.
Screw the red shirt. He's in the rotation. Even if all three backs in front of him were healthy, I still think he's an RB2 at least. Like, he should be at the top of the rotation there.
He's really good. He's really good, but he's proving his worth. I don't think we're going to end up redshirting him, Shane. But I'll tell you one thing: after the game the receivers had, I wouldn't mind redshirting like all of them right now.
Man, Corey, you were tweeting it, and I was like, I was following Twitter. You mentioned something. I'm so glad you mentioned it, but like, my gosh, dude, there was at least 4 or 5. Like, I felt like Marvin Harrison dropped 3, 4, or
There,
5
there was
passes.
I think the final count was 7 drops overall.
That's
And
with all the receivers, right? Or is
all
that
of
just
them.
Marvin?
Marvin had at least 4. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. And here's the thing. I get it if when it's raining and stuff. That's why I hate bad weather. I'm that guy. Hate bad weather in football games. That's why I don't like Big Ten football for that reason specifically, because you have to build for their bad weather, where the SEC doesn't have to deal with that. They're building for speed and power. They don't have to deal with it. But my gosh, dude, I think Maurice Claret was the one who said something 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's like, it's about time for one of our superstars to superstar. Like, we need our superstars
Hmm.
to superstar. So if Marvin Harrison wants to be the superstar, catch the ball, right?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, man. I love him. We need him. He's our biggest threat as a receiver. Don't even get like,
I
don't get it
heard you say
twisted.
bench him, but
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. I said cut him. Like, redshirt him, right? No, I'm just joking.
Take a
But like,
Scully. Just forget it.
something, right? But like, no, I'm just the thing is when you have a quarterback like McCord who needs to get into a rhythm, and I love the
Mm.
game plan, by the way, of letting him throw for like get in there and start throwing the ball to open up the run. Like, instead of going run to open up
And
the
in the
pass.
first pass, Fleming just boink.
Dude, that's the thing though. You got to help your quarterback out to get into a rhythm, because then it will open up the run game later. But man, Corey, like, if you're a superstar, catch the ball if it hits your
Yeah.
hands. Like, then you're playing behind the chains. It completely shifts up the game plan. You have less possessions anyway with the clock rules. Like, there's a lot that goes into a dropped pass. So I just, the momentum completely halts. And so anyway, I was getting frustrated. I want to know your thoughts. I knew you were tweeting about it, but what did you think, man?
You know, oh man, I'm gonna get us in trouble, I think. I I know Marvin at the foundational level is an extremely talented player. And I know he's going to put up good numbers this year. And I know if he doesn't put up the best numbers Buckeye receivers ever had, you can argue it's possibly new quarterback. That's a big reason. If he had CJ this year, I think his numbers would be ridiculous. Um, but I'm telling you, when they say stuff on the commentary like maybe the best player in the nation, I just cringe. Like, no, he's not. If you're the best player in the nation, if you're not even the best receiver in the nation, if you're going to drop 4 or 5 passes, and I don't care how wet it is, I don't care. Cade Stover didn't drop the pass. He made some incredible catches. Cade
Yeah.
Stover did, and he didn't even come to Ohio State as a receiver. Carnell Tate didn't drop the ball. I mean, I'm just saying, there's no some of those were not wet hand drops. Like just right through his hands, he just couldn't grab it. Some of them were just focus,
Hmm.
and it's incredibly frustrating for a guy. The one I kind of give him a break on is the one that it was behind him when Kyle was scrambling to his right, and he just kind of threw it in the vicinity of Marvin. Should he have made the catch? Yeah, because he got his hand on it, but it's still behind him, reaching back. Okay, I'll even give him that one. There's a couple out patterns where he went to the sideline and just dropped. It's just in his hand. It's right in his hands, and he just drops it. That kind of stuff is extremely frustrating. And you know why in a blowout he was still in the game late. It's because they did not want to have him end on those drops. So they gave him a little cheap pass, get good yards out of it, and he gets 20 yards, whatever. I like Marvin a lot. I know how I've often said on this program, even on Jay Stevens' Locked On Buckeye, Marvin can go down as the greatest receiver in Ohio State history. But right now, you ain't there if you're going to drop passes.
Yeah. And I hate to play this card too. I don't want to typically do this, but as a Biletnikoff Award voter, I do focus on the receivers across college football landscape. He is not the top receiver at this moment. He has a potential. I'll echo everything you said to be the best receiver in Buckeyes history. At this moment, I've seen him disengage from the game too many times. I watch him on multiple snaps because I'm trying to research this stuff. And there's times where like it really appears that he's not, like, if he knows the ball's not coming his way, he'll disengage and stuff. And so I just would love to see that. I know there's nobody more frustrated at dropping passes than him. Receivers will tell you that. So don't get me wrong, but I would just like to see him step it up.
It's not a malicious thing. We love him. We know he's a great Buckeye. I just can't hear greatest whatever until you start catching the ball more consistently. Actually, I saw that in high school too. His hands were not always perfect. I'm actually kind of worried about it. But last year, I think he didn't drop one until Michigan. So it's like it's weird this year that he's having a problem with it. Switching to the other side of the ball, Shane. We're going to switch back and forth.
Love it.
Defense. I gotta get your take on this.
Man, well, Cory, let's do this. I want to get your take because I'm going to play host real quick, and you get to give your insight here because you're the one.
To switch hats?
Yeah, let's do it. You want my pump dog apparel here? Hey, listen. So I really commend you because on Twitter it feels like, which is unbelievable, that you have to defend Jim Knowles and this Buckeyes defense week in and week. To me, it's unreal.
It's getting less and less. It's not as much as it used to be.
Oh, but it was just Purdue though, so that's why. I'm just kidding. But here's the deal. But it's mind blowing that you have to continue to defend them. But I want to know what your opinion is. Another week of a really solid game, in my opinion. I want to know what your take was on the defense. You're the one who has been defending Jim Knowles, and I want to see what you have to say. 41-7, man, on the road in a bad weather game.
I mean, they're not a great offense, but at the same time, it's on the road. It's a team we've struggled with in Ross-Ade. It's a potential trap game leading up to Penn State, and they just were dominant. And by the way, Purdue, normally 50% in third down. And I think they barely converted any third downs in this game. I think we started to see more vintage Knowles in this game. He brought some more pressure at times. He would sit on the line to gain for third down and just smother the offense a little bit. We might see that more about against Penn State. It seemed like he wasn't laying off nearly as much. And what was great about the defense, and this is better than anything they could have schemed up, is the resiliency of the defense. If the Purdue put together a decent drive, like right before the half, they didn't let them score. That shocked me. I thought, it's going to be a touchdown right before the half. Nope. Not only did they hold them to a field goal, they knocked them back about 20 yards. Through pressure, sacks, just everything. I think there was a penalty in there as well. And Jack Sawyer's starting to come on a little bit, play a little bit better. JT's still a great player. Tyreek Williams is a certified beast in the middle. My goodness, that dude is almost unblockable. And by the way, Cody Simon kind of outplayed Steele Chambers. I'm just saying, Steele's been kind of the weak link on linebacker a little bit. Tommy's not great, but he's a tackler. He gets a lot of tackles. Cody Simon looked good. I think the secondary, dude, Tim Walton and Perliano deserve so much credit for how good this secondary is. They have that fight, and I hope Denzel Burke's okay. By the way, I haven't heard anything yet. We need him bad, obviously.
Yes.
Second year is as advertised so far with Jim Knowles. The defense gets better; it improves. Now, Penn State will be that test because he did not have a great game plan against Penn State last year, but if they hold Penn State to under 20 points and like 300 yards or 350 yards, can you not say that Jim Knowles has brought the Silver Bullets back? I mean, every week we seem to see another sign that Silver Bullets are back. What say you?
Man, I will echo everything you said. I really am impressed with everything amidst all you can pick apart anything. That's what we can do here as fans, and that's what we do here on the channel too. We can pick apart some of the things. I think the linebacking play can get better, but man, I mean, bend don't break, and people will say, well, they missed 3 field goals or whatever. Like the kicker was having a hard day.
Kicker had a hard day.
That was tough for him. I feel bad for him, sort of, not really, because
I don't, not even
one. But so I mean, but it was bend don't break, and they were
We
resilient. I
we
love
missed a
everything.
kick to go to the national title game. He could miss some in a game that didn't mean a whole lot to Purdue.
Yeah, they're not, Purdue's not going nowhere. But
Exactly.
the thing is, man, I am just impressed. I thought they held their own very well. Granted, I do think you got to step up coming, and we'll do another a Penn State segment later this week,
Of course.
talking about some of the things to look at. But I do think coverage and open field tackling, I think we've improved so much from last year to this year, and this was another game where it was there, but it needs to improve even more if we're going to be playing against some high level talent like Penn State. I keep getting
I
the P's
know,
wrong.
man. It's the P that gets you.
But I like you said, Williams though. Williams at the middle. If you can get interior pressure like on the line, that's nasty. And my biggest thing, Corey, this is so underrated, but they get their hands up. JTT knows how to get his hands up when the ball, like they do a pretty good job. They're not that great at getting pressure without a blitz. Sometimes they do, but they get around, they form, they get they contain, and then they get their hands up when the quarterback's throwing the ball. Just put your hand. I always tell every lineman I've ever coached, every team I've ever watched, get your hands up and you'll get deflections. Like 3 out of 5 passes, you're going to deflect the ball.
That's a drive killer.
Just get your hands up. And they do that. I think Williams does a great job in JTT, and I think they've done a phenomenal job at that. So I was happy to see that too.
Yeah, I think we'll see the big test coming up this week, but so far you can't complain about Jim Knowles. I'm sorry, you just can't. I mean, what drives me nuts, Shane, and just real quick before we switch off topics here, is when I see on Twitter, it's like somebody finally gets a drive on us and they're kind of getting close to the 20. I just see it on X or Twitter. Fire Jim Knowles. He's just in and out of his head, yada yada. I was like, what? Have you guys ever watched football in your life? They're not going to shut everybody out for crying out loud.
You're playing high level talent. These are all Division I athletes. Like, get real, man. It's called football.
Exactly.
Like, two sides of the ball. Teams are supposed to score. The defense is at disadvantage. Like, that's just how it's going to be. Like, there's going to be games where it's a shootout. Go watch the SEC right now. Look at Florida, Tennessee. Like, dude, teams are. You can't stop everybody every single possession, man. Like,
I know it just drives me nuts. It's just people were griping about that last drive before the half. Oh, Jim Knowles, what the heck, man? It's like, oh, for crying out loud. They have momentum. It's gonna happen anyway. Switching back to the other side of the ball. Finally,
I misquoted. Florida, was it South Carolina? I keep saying the wrong names, dude. Not Tennessee. South Carolina. Hey, go ahead.
Man, Shane's drunk today.
What we do at Boise.
Yeah, it's like yes, you got that potato ale there. But anyway, Devin Brown in the red zone, something new. We haven't seen that all year. What did you think of that when you first saw it?
First thing I thought of was the Cardale Jones JT Barrett situation. Get a guy driving down the field, and then add a little complexity to it with like a little bit of a run option there. I will give Devin Brown a lot of credit for the way he handled it, minus the fumble at the goal line, which he knows very well. He needed to take care of the ball. It's not like he doesn't.
Ryan Day let him know. You saw on the sideline.
Right. And Devin Brown knows that too. Like it's just frustrating. He was half an inch from a touchdown again. Like, I mean, it adds a complexity to it, and I actually like it. He's a very capable passer. So it's not like he's just only going to run. So the defense only just has to hone in on him or whoever they're handing the ball off to. He can pass. Some of his stuff is a little sketchy. Like he almost threw a pick 6, but that's okay. Like I'm not going to get too deep into that. Corey, I really like the idea of having that because now every opponent, including Penn State, has to game plan for that. Like they have to look at that and be like, oh shoot, like what's our personnel going to look like when they come in there? And I really like it. If you guys remember when Cardale Jones and JT were doing their thing, trying to figure out who's going to be the starter, they did that whole thing, having Cardale come down as soon as they got to like the 30-yard line, 30 or 25-yard line. It wasn't quite the red zone, but they put JT in and give him a little bit more of a mobile option there. And it makes the defense really have to think. And so
JT could throw it a little bit too. So
yeah. So it's a similar situation where the defense now is on their heels because they're like, oh shoot, a little bit of a triple threat. So I liked it. And I thought they executed it pretty well.
I do like it, and I like the fact that they put it just the week before Penn State because Penn State's got graduate assistants and consultants and everything looking at Ohio State for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Then you do it right before you play them and give them something else to look at on film. And we don't have to do it. Kyle can still score in the red zone, but Devin gives you that extra option. Okay, look at the personnel Penn State's putting on the field. What works better against that personnel? Oh, Devin, the Devin package will make sense here. I liked it, and like you said, he's a dual threat. I mean, sometimes I think we telegraph the run a little too much with him, but I also understand that you haven't really got him warmed up. He's not throwing the ball 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times before he gets in there. But the fact that he can actually give you that look and that threat, you could start off in a goal line package, spread out, whatever, play bunches or trip, whatever. You can do 100 things with that in the goal line package. I do like the addition of that to our offense, and you don't want to hold back. Shane, you brought it up before the season started. This is going to be the tough stretch of our schedule, right here.
Yeah.
I mean, you get Penn State, then you got Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin's right after them, if I recall correctly. Or is it Rutgers?
Yeah.
No,
No,
okay.
it's Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, then Rutgers. I mean, Rutgers is not. I mean, they're not. They shouldn't be a challenge to Ohio State, but they're not an easy outie anymore. They'll play it tough.
Yep.
They look what they just did to Michigan State, coming back 24-6. That's hilarious. But anyway, I'm good. I'm pro. Devin's a baller, and I don't mind getting it. I've always been critical of Ryan not getting more reps to the backup quarterbacks. It's a great and ingenious way to keep Devin engaged.
Yep. 100%, man. I'm looking forward to seeing if they keep using it. It's huge for Ohio State, man. We're starting to get better and better and better, Cory, and this is just another way to do it. Like I'll end this with this. Like the whole entire discussion right now is just like, I'm really happy where Ohio State's at, considering where we were at in week 1, as far as like the execution.
We are light years better than week 1.
And people think, man, like they're acting like everybody's playing outside their minds. No, dude, USC just got boat raced by Notre Dame. Like you go look at the SEC. I mean, honestly, Alabama's probably playing better than anybody right now. Georgia just lost Bowers like for 4 to 6 weeks.
I wouldn't say Alabama. I'd say Michigan's probably playing better than anybody right now.
Well, I'm saying like out of the SEC, like Alabama randomly, who was playing trashy at the beginning of the season, they're kind of starting to pick things up. Michigan obviously is playing outside their mind, but like just understand that anybody can be beat at any time. Like no team is invincible. So like I'm actually really happy where Ohio State's at. I'm not trying to be overly critical. I feel like we're going to get better. And as long as we're playing well near the end of the season and we can compete for a title, then I'm fine with it. But it starts this weekend against Penn State.
You gotta have a build up over the year. You don't want to peak week 3, week 4, and then just everything. You can't figure anything out from there on. So anyway, we went over our time, but it doesn't matter. I'm just glad to talk to you, Shane. It's good times as always, man. Talking Buckeye football with my brothers here. Shane, we all know where you can get you, right? On X. I can't stand saying X. I miss saying Twitter, to be honest with you.
I just say Twitter, man. It's still Twitter. It's twitter.com, so I'm just using it.
There you go. It's Twitter still. Take that, Elon. You and your $100 billion. Anyway, Shane, where are they going to find you on Twitter, man?
Just go at the Game Time Guru. That's the name of my podcast, by the way. That's if people are like, why does he go by that? At the Game Time Guru, come follow me. I mean, I just basically kind of follow the rest of you guys. So, but I'll tweet in there every once in a while, send some messages from time to time, give my insight. But yeah, at the Game Time Guru on Twitter, and we'll chat with you there.
Absolutely. At Scarlet Great CT for mine. If you want to find me there and follow, I always follow back. Until you say something stupid. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, guys, we appreciate you as always. Again, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, help us grow. Free Buckeye content all the time that we can get it to you. Also, I hope to have more videos going forward with 2 or 3 of us even. I like to, actually, we had one video with all 3 of us. I want to do that again. Anyway, Shane, as always, buddy, can you take us out?
Yeah. Hey, get ready for this weekend. Love y'all. God bless, and go Bucks.